What's up? Now I know how you feel. It's a bit awkward. Welcome back to another episode of Backdoor Banter, your journey to self-improvement from a couple of guys still figuring it out. I'm Justin, I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my two friends. And for some of you guys who who don't know us or haven't seen us before, we're going to introduce ourselves in the spirit of, those awkward first classes at uni. So can my two co-hosts, my two friends here, introduce yourself and also an anime that you loved during childhood?
Ladies first.
Well, I'm Edmund, and a anime that I've always enjoyed since childhood would be Naruto.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's overrated, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. But my name is Lawrence, and I'm Edmund's brother. And mine's not Naruto. Mine would be Dragon Ball, or Dragon Ball Z to be specific. Very, very good anime, and I'm sure a lot of young kids would have wanted to be like Goku one day, hey? I know I wanted to, and I still do want to.
Yeah, you're one of those guys that try to turn Super Saiyan once in a while, just like in the gym.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. I do it in my room sometimes, at 11 p.m. But
Yeah.
I go... I don't go in case I wake up Edmund. I can't let him find out, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
just do it without actually...
While on the
making a
toilet.
sound. While on the toilet, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I could turn Super Saiyan for you, right now, if you want me to.
Oh, maybe we'll save it for later. don't want to blow away all the cameras and everything. Eh? But
No
you know what I
worries.
love about these two? I think I would have to agree with you. I think for me, Naruto is probably the one I resonated with the most. And one thing that we always see in these anime is training arcs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Naruto, he goes off to train with Jiraiya. He goes off to train with the frogs on the mountain. Goku goes to train with King Kai. All of the main characters, they always have a little arc where they go off and they train with some master. They don't really see their friends. They're out of their regular life.
Yep.
And I think that's something that we can apply to our regular lives, right?
Yeah.
On the internet, we see something that's pretty common. I think a lot of podcasters talk about it. Something called monk mode. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard of monk mode.
I've heard of monk mode.
Yeah.
And maybe you guys can give me what your understanding or what your definition of monk mode is. Maybe you can start, Edmund.
My understanding of monk mode would be pretty much staying inside and locking out everyone, not pretty much being a hermit and just improving on yourself. And just for a certain period of time. Yeah, that's my understanding of monk mode.
Okay.
Yeah. So my definition is that the name speaks for itself. What do monks do? They meditate all day or pray all day, and they don't have any, well, they're not meant to be having any sexual thoughts about the opposite gender, right? And I don't know if they're not meant to have it, but I don't think it's advertised as a monk to have these thoughts and these tendencies, and being able to control your emotions to the point where it's not going to interfere with your meditating and day-to-day life, but mainly applying that philosophy to your life, and just doing nothing but tasks that will make you be a better person in life. Not a better person, but will just upskill you in life.
100%. Love those definitions. And I think like you were saying, the name kind of speaks for itself, right?
Yep.
Monk mode, you're kind of letting go a little bit of kind of worldly desires, and you're kind of focusing on more of an inner journey, a bit of a transcendent journey. You're trying to transform yourself somehow. And yeah, I think it's pretty I think most guys, to be honest, go through something like this, even if they don't consciously think of it.
Yeah.
You will have a period where you're less focused on your social life, or less focused on whatever it is, right? And you're really trying to lock in and get something done, or level up in some way. Personally, I much prefer the term training arc, because I'm a big believer in the power of stories, right? The story you tell yourself whenever you're doing something gives you a lot more energy, or gives you a good framing. And because I watched anime growing up, like it makes me feel like, ooh, I'm just like Goku, I'm just like Naruto, right? I'm like going on this training arc, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go beat up Pain afterwards.
Yeah.
So I prefer the term training arc, but we'll kind of use them both interchangeably, like throughout this episode. So, like, what would you have you ever gone through like a monk mode before, Lawrence? Like, could you give us like an example if you have?
Yeah, like consciously, I wouldn't really call it a monk mode. Like there have been times in my life where I've devoted to a lot of self-improvement habits, like meditating daily and eating very clean on a day-to-day basis, doing my gratitude journaling and all that stuff. But I haven't really done like a monk mode like that. I think it was more like a dopamine fasting without too many rules. So yeah, I haven't really done that. But like you said, maybe subconsciously, like I have gone through periods where I was just really, really dedicated into training, didn't want to look the way that I was looking at the time, and I've put all my ducks into that bucket of just training every day, eating clean, and trying to lose as much weight possible, and get shredded.
Can you take us like back to that time, I guess, when like you were trying to change how you looked?
Yeah.
Like what did your like week to week look like? Was it like very different from how you were living like maybe like before that?
Yeah.
And like kind of where your mind was at?
Yeah, I can run through it a little bit. There's two phases that I want to go through, but I think I'd go through the more recent one. It would be the start of 2020. Well, for some context, I just started dating my girlfriend at the time. Well, not at the time. It's my current girlfriend. We started dating in 2019. So you know how those relationships go, right? You end up just going out all the time and eating. It doesn't help that we live an hour apart as well. So we're constantly just going out, and what do? Just eat at a restaurant. And we're doing that so much that I didn't care too much about my weight, or not that I didn't care too much, but it just took over me, like without me knowing. And throughout the whole of 2019, it was all just going out, not really caring about training that much, until I just wasn't happy with how I looked. I just looked all puffy and stuff. Looked in the mirror, and I was like, "Nah, this is not it." And decided to go into my macros, set up like it's similar to MyFitnessPal. Set up my macros at a caloric deficit, and just committed from there to train like 4 to 5, sometimes 6 times a week, and like just cut off like a whole lot of weight during 2020. And that was during like the big C word as well, where a lot of gyms weren't open, and I still managed to power through. I know a lot of people took that as a hurdle that they couldn't jump over, and stopped training overall, and went into like bouts of depression and stuff. But like I was so dialed in to losing weight that I like was just doing like a bunch of calisthenics exercises at home, and repping 8-kilo dumbbells for like 50 reps. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So you kind of made like the best of like a bad situation. You know? Like you had to be at home anyway, so you kind of turned it into like, you know what, you're gonna get fit, you're gonna like lose that weight, and then like get in shape like during that time. Yeah.
And it was the best time to lose weight as well, because you're not going out with your mates anymore. And so that means like less going out to drink, less going out to have dinners, and you can control what you eat pretty easily, or very, very easily, because you have to eat at home.
100%. Get all the right macros and everything.
Exactly. So that will be my my most significant, like, I guess, quote unquote, monk mode. Like in my life, like the most significant moment recently, or as of recent.
Yeah. And that one was very, very focused on like physical fitness. Which,
yes.
Shaolin monks, that's a thing as well. They don't just train the mind, they train the body as well by punching sticks or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I've never actually mastered the iron crotch that they train. Yeah, that's still something I'm trying to work towards, but it's not very favorable, when you have a partner that you gotta entertain sometimes.
All right. Well, what about you, Edmund?
For me, monk mode. I have had a few phases, especially in the lockdown, not the 2020 lockdown. 2020 lockdown, I let myself go a bit. I was very into the gym before that, but it was a hurdle that I couldn't jump over, but the 2021 lockdown. So we were very fortunate to have a home gym. And funny enough, that's when my self-improvement journey started. So prior to that, I was going out a lot. So that was when I first started going to parties and letting myself go, going a bit of a wild one. And then we went into lockdown. And then that's when I discovered Hamza. And then I discovered all the self-improvement, meditation, gratitude journaling. And I was just doing all that. And during lockdown, I still had to work as well. I was working like 4 or 5 times a week in the warehouse because we were still considered essential workers. And I was just pumping that out. And literally my whole routine was just gym, work, sleep, try to study, and then meditate, gratitude journal, all those self-improvement habits. And it was just that on repeat for however long lockdown, maybe 2 months. And I packed on a considerable amount of size during that lockdown. And that was, honestly, that was a very, very big, that was a very big highlight of my life. I wish I could, I want to be able to do something like that again. And I really have no excuse. But yeah, and after that, I just let myself go again because everything opened back up, right? But yeah, that's probably my main, the closest thing I could say to a monk mode that I've ever done in my life. Yeah.
And you were hitting all of the boxes basically. You were like, training your body. You were like getting in shape. You were, still working. So you were making money. You were like also like meditating and journaling. So you were kind of like, just working through stuff in your mind as well. So you basically hit all of the boxes that like people normally talk about during when they talk about monk mode. And you say that it's kind of hard to go back into that mode. Once everything has opened up.
Yeah, for me it was a bit hard because there's so many more temptations, going out a lot, going out again. But yeah, something that I do want to get back to. Like if I kept that up, I'd be a beast right now. I'd be crazy.
Yeah, but at least that you could do it, right? You like since you've done it before, that it's something that you're capable of, and it's I don't know how hard it is for you to get started again. Like it'll probably be a bit rusty and like it'll be a bit hard to get the ball rolling. But you've done it before, so there's like physically like there's no you don't have any impairments. Besides my ankle, besides your ankle, which you just injured over the weekend, right? But that's something you're definitely very capable of doing again, I reckon.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wasn't in a relationship back then. I feel like that could have been what kind of set me back because I got into a relationship later that year, like way later that year, and I think I let myself go a bit and just gained that relationship weight and got a bit complacent there. But yeah, it's just something that I want to get back into.
That's a good point. So it's very easy when you're just single, right? Because you can just like, whatever, I'm choosing not to go to like all of these different things. But if you've got a partner, there's kind of more expectations. There's more like social events. You're getting like invitations from like both sides, like their friends and also like your friends. Do you feel like for you, Lawrence, that's like something that makes it harder? Or is like monk mode even something that you're interested in doing like nowadays? Or do you prefer, you work on your goals in a more consistent way where everything is balanced?
I do want to go into a monk mode stage, and it's something that I've had in the back of my mind for quite some time now, because time to time I would see videos about monk mode and like, oh, that'll be fun to do. Like it doesn't sound fun, right? Like you're like just shutting the world out for a little bit and just working hard and doing stuff that you don't want to do for a long period of time. But it seems like something that will be very rewarding and that I would want to do. To answer your question, I think that I'm fortunate enough to have a very understanding girlfriend, and she knows that I have very sporadic thoughts as well, and like I'm quite impulsive sometimes. So and if I want to do something, like I usually will do it. So she's quite understanding with that, and it's not like I'm gonna like completely ignore her. I might just have to turn down some events, and look, I have turned down a decent amount of events in the past just to work on my fitness goals, and she's quite understanding about it, right? Like at first, maybe not the best reaction. She's like, why do you have to do this? But it when I explain it to her, she tends to understand, and she's always down to listen.
Mm,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess. Do you feel like having your partner go on like a journey like that with you as well is something that is like in the cards? Do you think like it's kind of more of a dude thing, or do you think like couples can go into a bit of a monk mode together?
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I'd love to do, but I don't think she'd do it. And I'm not.
It depends on the person as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on the person, and I don't think she, but sees any benefit in doing it. And I'm not trying to do a hard sale with her and force her to do things that she doesn't want to do, because it has to come from within as well. Monk mode isn't something that you do because someone else tells you to do it. I don't think it's sustainable that way. It's something you have to intrinsically want to do. And it would be like nice, but it wouldn't be something that I would try to convince her too hard to do.
Maybe you bring it up as an idea,
Yeah.
but you're not going to like nag or anything
exactly.
like that.
I'm not,
Like
I'm not
you
going
were
to have any
saying.
ill feelings towards her because she doesn't want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to come from within, kind of
Exactly.
thing. And even then, it may not be necessary.
Yeah.
I'll kind of add in some of my thoughts on like, you know, where monk mode kind of, if it has a place in our lives. I feel like it's a very good way to focus and make improvements in one or like a few areas, like very quickly, and make very good improvements there. But I think it does come with like a lot of drawbacks. So I think oftentimes you're giving up a lot of things, like you're socializing less, you're like maybe you give up drinking, those kinds of things, and you hyper specialize in like getting fit, or you get good at a hobby, or you like really focus up on your career, right? So I think the first time I did something like similar to this was a long time ago. Maybe like it was when I had a bit of a quarter life crisis. I was like not really liking what I did in uni. Like I wasn't doing that well either. Didn't really feel like I had like many, like didn't really have much of a personality, right? Didn't have any hobbies that I was good at. So I think I hit a point where I'm like, just had a bit of an existential crisis, and then decided, you know what, gonna do something about it. So that's when I started getting like really into like reading, really into like jujitsu. I decided to like change my degrees and get into like computer science. And there was a good 6 month stretch where I was like kind of brainwashing myself with like listening to like Jocko Willing at like 4:30 in the morning.
Hell yeah.
Going to the gym and like for an hour, and then heading straight to uni, you know, pumping the audio books, and then really just focusing up and like studying all day. And I did make like a lot of improvements, but at the same time became very boring to talk to. It's like that thing where it's like all work no play makes like Justin like a dull boy kind of thing, right? It's very hard to talk, like when you see your friends, right? It's very hard to talk about, oh yeah, I'm just on a fitness journey right now, or like, or whatever. Like people don't really want to hear that. People want to hear about like, oh yeah, I went to this cool event, or I went to this like restaurant, or like I've been on this holiday kind of thing. So I feel like that's one of the biggest downsides of monk mode. It makes socializing a lot harder, even when you make the time to do it. You've just got nothing to talk about. You just like sound like a self-help bro.
Yeah, I can relate to that, man. Because when I was being very hyper focused into the gym and dieting, and you know, following all those, like basically following gym talk, being all around that, and like listening to Tevez and like saying fuck and all that stuff, you know, like and just trying to be a Ziz copycat, right? And like I felt like I didn't feel it at the time, right? I felt like a mad cunt at the time, but in hindsight, like I'd be so bored to talk to that guy, because all I was talking about was going to the gym, all that stuff, and like being like this fitness bro, trying to like show people that I only eat this typically for breakfast, and it's just a pretty cringy. Like I remember like clearly, like I remember one guy said to me, he was like, oh yeah, the other guy should be. Oh, I was at a party, and then one guy was like, oh yeah, XYZ is going to be here later on. You guys can talk about gym and stuff. And I was like, fuck.
You guys can go in a corner and like be boring together kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I get what you mean. It's pretty cringe, eh? Like all you do is just talk about the gym and just thinking about that shit. Like I remember what helped me go to sleep. Like I have a hard time sleeping. Like I think a lot. I think a lot about stuff. But what made me go to sleep was being excited about waking up so I can work out the next day. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I'm training back tomorrow, and I'm gonna rip some heavy deadlifts. Do some lat pull downs. But yeah, bro, it's so cringe. Like that's all I could think about, man. Just going to the gym, and yeah, it was a pretty funny time.
I've definitely dealt with that. Like I was pretty heavy into the gym, even though I feel like like a lot of times at work, everyone would be like, I would always talk about my PRs. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get a deadlift PR today. And they always show me as like I was literally known as the guy that just lifts and can't pull any girls. That's what I was
Listen,
known
can't pull any
as.
girls.
I didn't because I haven't had at that point. I wasn't in a relationship.
Yeah.
So they just thought like I couldn't. It was just a running joke that I can't talk to girls, and which I probably couldn't, and I just lift all day.
Became a bit of a meme.
But it became a bit of a meme, and then
He was like sorry, but he was a guy at the. Have you seen that meme where it's like some guy at a party and then he has that mask over him? It's like,
And everyone else is dancing.
Yeah, these people don't know that I can deadlift 400 pounds.
yeah, that was literally me.
And he's
then,
gone.
Yeah, but I feel like for the longest time, a lot of people would just ask me, but I would say a lot of people do struggle with this as well. They would be like, "Oh, tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me about your hobbies." And all I can say is, "Oh, I just go to the gym."
Yeah.
But in my mind, in the back of it, I'm like, "Fine, but everyone goes to the gym. I can't just say that because everyone, like even a guy that's not really in shape, like he'll probably go to the gym as well. Maybe he just doesn't look like it, and he probably has more hobbies than I do." So yeah, just wanted to picking up more hobbies definitely has helped. But at the same time, when I say journaling, like I like to journal, I like to meditate. Like I don't really do it like fully religiously. So then, let's say if a person's like really into meditation, like, oh yeah, what kind of meditation do you do? I don't know. I just hop on the app.
Yeah, jump on the Calm app or something.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely building more of personality, like doing more jiu-jitsu and other hobbies has definitely helped me become a bit more interesting to talk to, and I can build more rapport with people.
Are you known as the jiu-jitsu guy now then?
Yeah.
Slightly more interesting than gym.
Yeah. No, I do like public speaking too.
Hey.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that helps. I think I'm known as the self-improvement guy.
Self-improvement
bit.
shit. I mean, as so you should, man, because this is a self-improvement podcast. So
Yeah.
we should be known as self-improvement guys with a bit more flavor, a bit more spice.
Bit more spice.
Yeah.
Bit more banter.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're covering the downsides of like a training arc or monk mode like pretty well. It makes you boring. It's like you become a bit one-dimensional.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm gonna jump back onto the other side and talk about the benefits though, because you're giving those things up for a reason, right? Because you get a lot more focus, you get a lot more consistency, and those two things are what kind of builds like excellence, right? Just being able to lock in, you're not focusing on anything, and you're really making progress and being very deliberate with your time, with your improvement. So I think if you're feeling a little bit lost in life, if you're like feeling like, I'm just like spinning plates, I'm like just not doing anything, right? Doing a monk mode is like really good, but I feel like you've got to have the right reasons, and you've also got to approach it in the right way. I was reading a book. It's called The Talent Code, and they talk about something. It's basically just watching like really talented people and uncovering like, okay, what's the commonalities? And one idea that I found cool was this idea of primal cues, and it's that at certain times of people's lives, they hit a thing where it sparks like a deep, like primal emotion. And that's what gives them that like lock-in focus, that like willingness to give up their social life, to become boring for a while. So one is not feeling safe. So very common is like elite athletes, they'll have a parent die when they're like a teenager. And that's a primal message like, oh, you're not safe. So then they're not chilling out. They're not relaxing. They like, I need to work to survive.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had those times in my life where the only time I'm like willing to like go into monk mode or like go into a training arc is when I have a strong enough reason where I feel like, yeah, I don't, where's my life going? I have a quarter life crisis,
Yeah.
and that's a good enough reason to be like, okay, I'm gonna quit all of these things. So for me, I feel like with these training arcs, it's like kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen. If you guys watch that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
oh,
Right there.
shirt right there.
Right here.
It's like a binding vow, right?
Mm.
The more you give up, the more powerful it is, and it's like what you give up is like specific to you. And I think deep down, like you know what it is. So for me, that first time, it was just coming to the realization of gaming being like a huge waste of time for me.
Yeah.
And we already spent a whole like episode like hating on gaming like 2 episodes ago. So I won't go too deeply into that. But also for me, alcohol as well. And then just like just wasting time, you know, time spent with friends is like always good. So I feel like you should put a premium on that. But I think time spent like just not doing nothing is like watching TV, watching too much YouTube, like being too passive is not good. So I feel like getting clear on like what is distracting you, you kind of set like really like goals. Like you need to also add like an endpoint to your like monk mode, which is you know, maybe you're trying to find like a graduate job after uni, or you're trying to, you know, get good at something, right? Like maybe you want to do your first competition in like dance or in jiu-jitsu or something. Having a concrete goal to kind of work towards, and having a concrete thing to like exit monk mode, I think is like really important. Otherwise you just become that like one-dimensional like self-improvement bro.
Yeah.
And like you lose all your friends because you're saying no to all of these events, and then okay, no one wants to hang out with you anymore.
Yeah. That's a really common thing nowadays, hey, because there's I don't even know if it's affiliated with the red pill sphere. Like, because in the manosphere, there's like the red pill stuff, like really, really far red pill stuff. And there's also content that I've seen where it's like, you know, like reject parties and like all that, and just train, you know, like gym is my therapy, like all that like cringe stuff. Like, is that sort of like related to like is that like sort of red pill content, or is that like some other like subgenre? Like, have you guys seen that?
I wouldn't say it's red pill content. It's just like normal self improvement content. I would say a lot of red pill content is just like, yeah, be a man, man. Be a man. Don't be a pussy.
Or would you say that's kind of like the incel type of content where like it's just like copism, all right? Like people don't want to socialize and don't want to go out with friends, or maybe they just don't have friends, have a hard time making them, and they're just making all these videos as a
People
point
like
of,
them.
huh?
So they can find people like
Yeah,
them.
find people like them, or just to reinforce
To
their
avoid
barriers. To avoid,
it's like
yes.
they tell themselves like a story.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, maybe if I get big enough, people will like me, kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
It's a very like, you're avoiding the real problem, which is you've got no social skills.
Yep.
So you should go out and like put risk rejection, risk vulnerability, and instead you like do something like off on your own kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I think is like a very real thing,
Yeah.
especially like I feel like, to be honest, like the incel world and the self-improvement world, very close, like
Very close,
together,
yeah.
like especially online.
Yeah.
It's like you can very quickly go from something that's genuinely good for you and like good for like improving your life to like, okay, this is a bit of a meme. But like 100%, I get what you're saying. So like these people, they're like, instead of working on like social skills, they go into like too much of a monk mode, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. Like there should be a balance, like you said, but like talking about that primal stuff, and also what you were saying towards Helen and that, how did you find that balance with monk, like doing monk mode and also like living your best life?
If I'm gonna be honest, I feel like you can't. Like, especially early on when you're like still figuring yourself out, is I think you do need like good like long periods of time to like really lock in and like focus on specific goals. Like 3 to 6 months, really like saying no to things, like really like not inhibiting yourself, like too much alcohol, and like being, very very consistent with your results.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I used to bounce between intense focus and then a lot of like socializing
Yep.
afterwards to try to make up for it. And I feel like that doesn't work. So what I would say to people is relationships is the one thing you can't force and the one thing you can't accelerate.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships like friendships, family relationships, like it's about consistency. So you just got to be there, and that's the one exception you should make all the time. Is if people kind of need you, like be there for them. Make sure you see your friends. Maybe not too often, but like keep in contact. Like even when you're like really deep in like in trying to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times for me, I've tried to make this balance as well. Because especially with grappling, a lot of times I'll find myself like, yeah, I want to go train today. I want to go train today. And then there would be other tasks that come up. Like a lot of times, every time I have that public speaking class come up, literally 10 out of 10 times I was like, should I just go grappling today instead? But then I just think to myself, nah, grappling is not the only thing that's important to you. There's other parts of life that's important to you as well. And even when friends make plans and I have plans to train that day, because me personally, I don't actually go out that much. And me and my friends, when we do make plans, it doesn't happen very often. So it's not like I can just go to the next one, because the next one will probably be in, I don't know, 2 months' time. And I would always make time for, if my friends want to go out. Usually, if it's not very too last minute, I would go. And yeah, I would always make time where possible, even if I do have like train that day, or I could fit in like a self-improvement hobby. Yeah, I feel like that's helped me a lot. And in terms of monk mode, I think a lot of it can be, you can just balance it, right? Like you don't have to, for me, I don't think you have to go all in. I think you can still balance it with a lot of other stuff, because in most cases you do have enough time, unless you're like, let's say you're working 12-hour days and you have to commute to the city and back, then understandable. But I would say in most cases you would have enough time to fit in everything that you need to do.
Okay, so you're very much a believer in much more of a consistent, like you should try to keep a balanced life, even while making progress towards your goal.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, very much like a marathon, not a sprint kind of like belief kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I agree with. I think like it's like the most balanced way, like the optimal way to like live your life. But I do feel like there are certain scenarios where you've got to like really focus on one thing. So like, have you guys seen The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically this guy, he's like got no money, he's got like a kid and no career prospects, and he just he needs to lock in. He can't afford to go hang out with friends. He can't afford to like work on his hobbies, right? He had to like just work. So he became a stockbroker. He was like going to the office, sleeping under the desk, like hiding from security.
Yeah.
Sleeping under
It
the
was
desk.
like an internship as well. It wasn't even a guaranteed job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you've got like really big goals, like maybe especially if you're like trying to start a business, like you've got like a runway, that kind of thing. So I think in those cases, if you want to achieve great things, sometimes you just gotta like give up things. But I still think the one thing you've got to like try to keep alive is like your friendships.
Yeah. And I think Pursuit of Happiness though, that's he was also on that dad grind, Dad grind is different.
Dad grind
bro.
is different.
Dad grind is different. Yeah, you like. I'm personally not a dad, but I think if I
that you know of,
that I know of, exactly that I know of. But if I ever feel like I need to, propel myself in life, very very significantly in a very short time, I'll just have a kid.
Just have a kid, right?
Yeah. Get on that dad grind, bro. It's unmatched. Dad strength and dad grind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I feel like we've covered like a good amount of like monk mode stuff. Like, do you guys like feel like there's any other topics that we haven't covered?
Well, I even though we all had like that definition of monk mode, like what's a simple monk mode plan that you would recommend someone
Oh,
with who've just just heard of this, right? Like, what if they don't know what monk mode is? Like, what's something that is really basic that they could do? Like, and how long would you recommend them to do it?
Me personally, I would say, in terms of monk mode, I would still want them to have like a day where they can go out, one day a week at least, or one day a week at most. Sorry, and then, but how I would recommend them to do, I would, yeah, of course, work out 4 or 5 times a week, at least stay active, and yeah, meditate 10 minutes a day, standard gratitude journaling, and yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. And just not go out, no alcohol, no drugs.
What about, because I thought monk mode is, because monk mode, and also there's one called like hard mode, something hard mode.
75 hard.
Not 75 hard. Oh, 75 hard kind of ties into this, but I guess like with monk mode, I thought it was like rejecting any external sources of cheap dopamine, right? Like, have you guys have heard of like dopamine fasting,
Dopamine
right?
detox, yeah.
And sorry, dopamine detox, and literally just don't do anything that will stimulate any dopamine by external cheap instant sources. So like not using your phone. I think like, yeah, not drinking any coffee, doing any drugs, drinking, none of that. No listening to music. Well, what else, bro? Like just very simple stuff, right? No watching movies, no videos, and no TV and all that stuff. Like, do you think that is sustainable? And then and doing that over a long period of time, do you think that's because I always thought that was what monk mode was. So
I think that's why I kind of take issue with like the term monk mode, and that's why I kind of prefer like training arc, because it doesn't have those same connotations of like all or nothing.
yeah,
I feel like it's important to be able to like have a gradient of like, maybe you're kind of in a monk mode right now where you're just not drinking, but everything else is like the same, because like I think you were alluding to, that's a bit too extreme, like not listening to music, not doing anything like fun at all, I guess.
Yeah.
Is not realistic like in the long term, or even in the short term. Like it's kind of pointless in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I always felt like that was something that I want to do. Like maybe a couple days, and I'll book myself a cabin somewhere, and just like I'll bring my phone, but or maybe I'll just like chuck my SIM into a crappy little like Nokia or something, and then just go out and just not do anything stimulating for a good couple of days. And from what I've seen and from what I've read, I think that will reset your dopamine baseline and make you appreciate the small things in life, and also be able to do harder stuff in life. And I think that's something that, even though I've never done it before, I think that's something that I'd want to do, and I think that would personally help a lot of people. I mean, the no listening to music stuff, like I've done that before, and for the first 3 hours of my day, there would be no external sources of dopamine. So no social media, like no music. I wouldn't listen to any music at all. Like if the radio was on while like my partner was driving, I'll just mute it, and no coffee until like 3 hours later. And I feel like that helped me quite a bit.
Interesting. So this like more like extreme one is kind of just disentangling, like I guess breaking all addictions to like really just, to me it sounds like facing like emotions or like whatever comes up. I feel like a lot of times listening to music is, or like doing a lot of things really is a way to avoid like certain like emotions or certain thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah. And also just trying to pass time, and like because you're bored and you're trying to like pass time and make it seem like it's going faster by listening to music or like a podcast or something like that with funny jokes like our one. And yeah, like if you were just to eliminate all that, and like that, like there is science behind it around like how your dopamine levels do, like your dopamine baseline like fries itself. Well, not really fries itself, but the dopamine baseline and the threshold for stimulation will heighten the more you expose yourself to these external sources of cheap dopamine. So, but there's articles proven that it can be reset, but it just comes with with time of understimulation, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never realized how much music actually affects your dopamine receptors. Like I've experimented with it. Like I would begin my day without music, and I feel so much better because I would say for almost every morning I would get up and then once again hop into the toilet to brush my teeth. I would always have music playing. Hop in the shower, music will be playing. I can't even shower.
Yeah.
And when I go take a poop, I have to carry my phone with me. And just not having dopamine just helps so much. Just helps reset everything. Because
Yeah.
I feel like with my phone, like it's glued to me, and it's not very good.
Yeah, I go through that as well. And like something like that monk mode that I was referring to, where you're just canceling everything out for maybe even just one day every couple months. I think that will do wonders for a lot of people. And some people might just like think, oh yeah, I have ADHD. You might be experiencing ADHD like symptoms, but that can be fixed in most cases. Like you may genuinely have ADHD and you need to seek like professional help or maybe jump on medication. But for the majority of people, that stuff like that can be reset with that version of monk mode that I was referring to. Yeah.
Interesting. So that one is very much more focused on like on just like resetting your mind kind of thing, like like reducing that overstimulation that like we all have in like the modern world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you got a clean cup of water and then you've just like poured all this fucking dirt and shit into it. And when you're doing that dopamine fast, you're filtering all that stuff out slowly, right? Like one job at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
And like in your regular life, you can do it like when you're filtering it out, you can do it a little bit at a time, like do your daily meditations.
Yeah.
But once in a while, it's good to kind of do a full flush, a full like whatever.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit challenging for me to do, given that I do have a girlfriend that likes to FaceTime me a lot, and and if I was to just throw my phone somewhere and just like ignore everything, it'll be a bit hard. But maybe I'm just making excuses for myself. Like I did say earlier, she's a pretty easygoing person and understanding, so that could be something that I would want to do. I probably can even do it. I can do it. I could probably do it next week. So, yeah. But it does, come with its challenges, right? Like there's subconscious excuses that I make for myself, like, oh, I need to check my phone for work, or what if I get an email coming through? I might need to check some, do some social media stuff for the podcast channel. So, it really just comes to with good planning. I think that's something that I could pull it off. That I could pull off. Yeah.
It's funny thing because I actually did a dopamine detox like last week. Starting last week after our podcast, I did it for like 4 days, and then I think I posted a story on Backdoor Banter, and I just got hooked on Instagram again. So it's dangerous. It's pretty dangerous. But what I've noticed is I was a lot more much more productive during work, because then I don't have my phone with me, and then I would just be so much more focused and just not distracted. And it's like a night and day difference with with my phone versus without my phone. It's so much better and so much more clear headed.
Do you guys know Dr. K, right? Healthy Gamer?
I love Dr. K.
Yeah, like Dr. K. So I might be butchering it a little bit, so I won't go into like the full details and science stuff because I don't remember the specifics around it. But he does a lot of these streams, and he would answer questions from, I think they're like from either from Twitch or like from YouTube comments or Reddit comments. And one of them was like, oh, I can't sleep at night, or I have a hard time sleeping. And then he did some diagnosis about like just when you wake up, you're not gonna touch your phone. You're not gonna like go on any form of social media, not listen to music or anything. You just wake up, like brush your teeth, do all the hygiene shit, and then just go straight to work and do a hard like 3 hours of nothing but work. Just like obviously you can take like some breaks in between, like doing like that Pomodoro method where you do 30 minutes on, 5 minutes break, but within that 5 minute break, you don't touch your phone. And when you do that at the start of the day, up until, let's say you start at 9, finish at 12, you go get lunch, and then you can go on your phone and then start working later on. He said that his patients have had better sleep due to that because they're not exposed to instant gratification at the start of the day, and they're delaying that gratification, getting that feel good dopamine hit after they've done 3 hours of work. And something about how like the since your body's like working on those long-term goals, it does, you don't crave that cheaper dopamine later throughout the day as much, and then you can have that sleep, because I think like sometimes people stay up and have that insomnia because
It's like a neurotic, like you don't feel like you've achieved much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. You don't feel like you've achieved much, and you're still trying to get that instant gratification, like maybe subconsciously as well, scrolling and doing all that stuff, and also you're just thinking a lot as well that you could have done something better with your day. So
like a deeper sense of like fulfillment, I guess.
Yes.
Kind of like reduces like the need for the cheap dopamine.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So like, yeah, that was pretty much like my initial definition of monk mode. But like you said, you prefer using the word training arc, and I think everyone should go for a training arc.
I think so. I think going back to that question you asked like a little earlier, where like for specific recommendations, I'll give a recommendation for a very specific person, because I feel like it isn't really something, if you're happy with your life, I don't really think it's something that you should like go out of your way to do. I think you need a reason. You need like an emotional reason to like do something like this. So if you are like some dude right now who is kind of just not fulfilled, like you don't really have like a lot going for you, don't have a lot, just not you don't have a lot of meaning in your life. I think for guys,
if you go to your settings right now on your phone and check your screen time, if it's over 10 hours, you'd say.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Over 10 hours, like you need some help, like.
Oh yeah, I would say over 7.
Over 7?
Yeah.
I've gone to 8. Like sometimes, sometimes my average screen time has gone to like 8.5 hours. So yeah, exactly. So and then and when I reflect, that's I'm like, oh fuck, I was on my phone quite a lot that past week. So over 8 hours, right? If your phone time's over 8 hours, go on.
It might mean that like you're lacking like meaning in your life. And one way I think as guys, a lot of our identity kind of naturally comes from being like a provider or having like a good career. Like it plays a big part in like your social status, which, it's not fun to think about, but at the end of the day, status like does matter.
Yeah.
So I reckon spend 3 months locking in, doing like a training arc. And the way you would do that is figure out like what activities make a meaningful difference like for your career. So as a concrete example for what I do, I'm a software engineer. What matters for me is doing a lot of like deep focused work. So if I was trying to find a job, say, I would be grinding a lot of leak code. I would be like reading a lot of like textbooks. I would be just building personal projects, right? We can't give you like the exact activities because, so many people do have different different activities that will move the needle. Maybe we can go one by one later and say like what activities you can do in your own time to level up in your career. But like have a plan, figure out what that is for you, and then make a point to be 100% consistent with it for 3 months. Also figure out a physical activity, because exercise is kind of what keeps like the engine going. Like you got to feel healthy, you got to be like have energy to be able to just live and like feel good, right? So figure out something for your career, figure out exercise that you like. Maybe gym is like the simplest thing because there's no schedule or anything.
Yeah.
And then
running is a good one as well.
Yeah. Running's an amazing one. And then, write down like what your specific goal is after 3 months. Write down what you are willing to give up, and then focus on consistency for that entire period where you're doing your training arc. And then I think you'll find that get like amazing results, and you've just added a new thing into your toolbox. So when you become a single dad with no money, you know that you've got that power to like lock in and become a sick cunt.
Yeah, that dad grind. And I also wanted to put out what Justin said as well. He said that like your social status does matter. And I know a lot of people would think like, oh, I don't want to climb the social ladder, or I don't want to climb corporate ladder. That's a bit cringe, right? Like that's not something that I want to do, and that's not something that we really want to do as well. Like, well, me personally, and it does sound a little bit cringe, but that's the way the world works, man. Like it's either you play the game, like, or you go away, bro, and that's it. So it's like it's the way the world works, and that social status can bring you like a lot of good in life. And they also talk about stuff like there are reports and articles that talk about like pretty privilege as well. Like the better looking you are, the more you typically get paid. And there's so many like researchers and journal articles that talk about that. And typically, the better looking people like land better jobs easily with less work. So put in the work now, so you don't have to put as much work in later. But
it's an unfortunate truth, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I think any guy who's gone from like being like pretty small to like getting pretty big, you get a lot more respect. Like what
100%.
people treat you with like respect automatically,
yeah,
as opposed to like being overlooked kind of thing. So it's an
Exactly.
unfortunate truth, like you were saying, that you've got to play the game. You just
Yeah.
don't need to get lost in it, right? You don't need
Exactly.
to feel better than people
Yeah.
or that, but you got to be able to play the game.
yeah, because you have your own values, right? You know that it's cringe. Like I still think it's cringe, but yeah, you have to play the game because it's the way that the world works, or you're just gonna crumble. And like Justin said, just remember in the back of your head, you're not trying to be that tosser that just thinks is better than everyone. You're just doing it for yourself and making stuff easier for yourself as time goes by. And maybe when you're stuck in that situation, you know how to get out easily compared to other people. Yeah.
And kind of building on that point that I said earlier, I'm just genuinely like very curious. Like, if you guys decided to go into like a monk mode or a training arc to level up specifically in your career, like, how would you level up like in your own time? So
Mm-hmm.
you guys are both in sales.
Yeah, in my career, I would say just look at my talk tracks, like just actually analyze.
Do you mind giving us
Analyze.
context on like what your job is and what a talk track is?
Oh yeah, true.
Sorry.
So I work
Yeah.
as a BDR, it's an appointment setter pretty much. So I do a lot of cold calls, warm calls, and then so what I can do is pretty much re-listen to my calls, see where I could have done better, and actually analyze it and pick out, and then pretty
Sit
much
through the cringe, right?
sit through the cringe,
Yep.
and then try and apply, pretty much over and over again. But I would say this, if this is like, it's monk mode, but I'm still helping myself socialize and get better at talking to people. So I'll probably come out of this monk mode
Best of both worlds.
socially better than I
Mm.
was, even though I'm not actually interacting with anyone in real life.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
how would you go about
For
it?
me, I think it's better I show you a way. I think it's time that I go Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah. First in the world.
Anyways, no. maybe another time. You guys aren't ready for
That's
that
on
yet.
the Patreon episode.
Yeah, on the Patreon episode. Exactly.
We don't have one yet.
We might need to get a better camera than this one though, because it's not going to capture like the frames. The FPS isn't high enough.
Oh, it's not high
to
enough.
capture it, like the aura and stuff around me. It's not going to capture it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I can see it right now.
You
But
can see it exactly.
It's not picking up on the camera.
Exactly. So I don't want to waste a Super Saiyan opportunity because it takes a lot of work, bro. I have to eat a lot of food afterwards after I turn Super Saiyan. All right.
That's all right.
So, but for me, in all seriousness, another monk mode for me, would be. I don't know. Can you help me define like what?
Okay, if
the
you had
question
to
again?
spend 1 hour a day for the next
1 hour a
3
day, okay.
months to grind and to level up,
Yeah,
to make more money,
to make
like
more money.
in your main job,
Yep.
how would you go about doing that?
Networking. Just
Networking,
go
okay.
to like networking events, bro. Like, because bit of context as well. I'm in sales. I'm in tech sales, and I used to be a BDR like my brother, but I've moved into a closing role, and I would be doing like he would be the, I don't know if I find an analogy, but like. Is that an alley oop? I don't watch basketball. I'm terrible with basketball, but you know how when you like you toss it up, alley oop, right? Yeah, you're the assist, bro, and I dunk it. So that's our relationship there. And there's like a lot of it would make it. Sorry, a lot of my work would be made easier with the right connections, and people typically buy off people that they trust and people that they like, right? So if I have these connections and just like network with people, I can like bring in more business. And yeah, just meeting more like CEOs, like CISOs, like CTOs out there, and them just giving me a chance just because they know me and I'm local. So that would be what I'd do. An hour a day though, I don't know if that's enough for networking. Oh, I guess it's.
Would you have an option, just to push back a little bit, because
Yeah.
I feel like networking is a Friday, maybe a Friday thing.
Yeah,
Would you have the opportunity to network like every day?
that's true.
I just want to give you a challenge, because
That's
like I
true.
feel like this is a good exercise for like people at home where they're trying to think through like how to, you know, like build a monk
Yeah.
mode themselves. Like,
yeah.
so yeah, just like a question, like how would, like, could you do that every day?
Ooh, maybe not, eh? I don't think I'd be able to do that every day because I'd have to find a networking event, right?
Yeah.
Or unless I just like walk into an office and just like go to the CTO at Woolies, like, hey,
Knock, knock.
well, I'm Lawrence. Who the hell are you, mate? But something I could do every day that I used to do for maybe 10 minutes a day was like verbal fluency exercises and like speech exercises to be more witty and be able to transfer my thoughts out to the other person during a sales call. And there was a channel that I don't remember what the name is, but I'll shout it out or I'll put it up if when I find it later on, because it is quite helpful. Very small channel, is run by a lovely lady. She's Aussie as well, and she's like a speech coach. She has like a lot of exercises that are free to watch, that you'd be able to follow just to level up your speech and communication skills. And one that I used to do was, I don't know what it's called, but you guys know what a metronome is, where it just plays like a ticking sound or something after X amount of seconds, depending on how much you set it. So you can set it for like 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds there's a tick, and then and every time you hear that tick sound, you say a word, and then when you hear the next tick sound, you have to say a word that's related to the first word. So it's like red, and then it ticks again, like salami. Salami's red, and then it ticks again, and then you go meat. So do that maybe for 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, 3 times in a row, and then the next exercise would be the same thing, but now you're saying unrelated words. So it could be like curtain, and then the next one could be like jiu-jitsu, and the next one could be aircon. So like very like different words, completely unrelated, and that definitely helped my wittiness and helped with my thinking like on the spot. And there's probably a bunch of there are a bunch of other exercises that she has and that she can prescribe, and I think it'll be worth doing if I had an hour a day, and that would help with my sales calls, because I think sales is mainly just like a transfer of
Thinking fast.
thoughts. Yeah, transfer. Yeah, it's like thinking fast on your feet is one factor, but I still think it's a small factor. It's mainly the transferring of value from like, you may have like the most conviction about your product in your head, but how you transfer that conviction to that person is what would matter most. Right. And then people typically sense that conviction if you're able to portray it well, and then they will buy off you or buy off your company. Like, but yes, maybe they'll throw a gotcha question like, weren't you guys on the news for this thing like 3 years ago? And then you might have to be a bit more witty for that. But that's probably not like the most regular occurrence. It's mainly transferring that value and transferring that energy through words. Yeah.
Super interesting. I guess like we're coming up on time, but hopefully that kind of sparks some ideas for like our viewers. What exercises, what deliberate practice can you do to kind of level up, like Lawrence is saying, like those kinds of exercises. Any closing remarks on our monk mode episode?
If I probably should have spoke about this earlier, but there was one point in my life where I wouldn't mind being an actual monk, like maybe for like a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I don't know what it was, man. It was like we went to Hong Kong on a family trip, and we went to like a a monastery, and like this place is pretty nice, pretty chill life. I wouldn't mind just being a monk. And I thought about that as well, like, oh, maybe I could be a monk for a year. And I know, like, I was watching Dr. K as well, and he was a monk for a couple of years, and I'm like, that's maybe something that I could probably do. But
He's such a well balanced person as well, right?
exactly,
Like it's probably from that.
exactly. So I'm not saying be a monk, but look into it. Maybe that's something that you want to do. But
Maybe do a meditation retreat. That's
yes,
like being a monk for like 3 days.
exactly. Meditation retreat. What other closing remarks would be? Just no. I think it was just what you said right earlier. If your screen time is over 10 hours, or if you're not feeling like you have much direction in life, definitely like zone into a monk mode routine that works for you, and just get started on that. It'll take you to a better direction in life. Maybe just. Would you recommend using ChatGPT to make a monk mode routine?
I would.
You would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can do
Like,
anything.
list of oh yeah, you can do everything.
You can.
Besides, get me a girlfriend. I already have a girlfriend, but but yeah, just put in what your goals are, and then tell them to make your monk mode routine. Be specific around it so it's tailored towards you, because sometimes you can spit up some pretty random stuff. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it's to if you want to get your life back on track, your monk mode, I'll definitely recommend it, and just to pretty much just sit with yourself, right, and not have to not ingest copious amounts of dopamine, and just sit with yourself. You can stare at a wall if you have to. Stare at a wall for an hour, sit with yourself, and stay away from the dopamine, and just try to sort something out. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Backdoor Bands, and TikTok, Backdoor Banter. And yes, if you're watching on YouTube, good on you. But we also have a Spotify for when you're driving as well. So yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.